Hi, good morning. Welcome back. So it's English class once again. So today we are going to do the poetic devices we discussed in the poem A Photograph. Because you're not familiar with all the poetic devices that are used in this poem, so we'll explain it once again. The four main poetic devices used here are transfer epithet, alliteration, personification and oxymoron. So today we are going to start with the simplest of the four, which is alliteration. I know you are already familiar with the poetic device alliteration, as you have studied this in the earlier classes also. So the definition of alliteration would be like: alliteration is the poetic device in which neighboring words will contain the same sounds. For example, in the line whisper words of wisdom, you can see the repeated sounds are: in whisper it is the w sound, and the same sound is repeated in words and wisdom. So this is called alliteration, the repetition of the same sound in the neighboring words. So in the poem A Photograph, the use of alliteration is in the fifth line, where you can see stood still. That is alliteration. Then again you can see it in the last line of the first stanza, terribly transient. And again in the last line of this poem you can see silence, silences. Okay, the next poetic device we are going to learn is personification. In personification, a non-human thing is given human characteristics. So a non-human or inanimate object is described as having some person's qualities or having some human qualities. For example, in the line, the moon smiled at the stars in the sky, you can see the moon is given the human quality of smiling. So the moon is described as smiling, or the moon smiled is a personification. Here the moon is personified. Personification is used in the first and last line of this poem. The cardboard is personified in the first line and silence is personified in the last line. Let's look at the poetic device, transfer epithet. In this figure of speech, the modifier or an adjective that goes with a noun is not describing that noun, but it will be describing another idea which is present in the poem. For example, in this poem, the expression terribly transient feet. Transient is the adjective that goes with the noun feet. But what we have to understand is the poet is referring not to feet but to the person, or but to the human life. Life of a person which is transient, which is not lasting long, which is not lasting forever, and it is short-lived. So the word transient is an adjective that means short-lived, and here short-lived refers to the life of the person, not the feet of the person. To understand it better, look at the word beautiful and girl. Beautiful is the adjective, girl is the noun, and here beautiful refers to the noun girl, not anything else. But in this line, transient does not refer to the feet, it refers to the life of the person. Oxymoron is another poetic device in which two opposing ideas or two words which have opposite meaning come together. For example, in clearly confused, the meanings are the opposite because when it is clear, you're not confused. But when we say clearly confused, it is an oxymoron. Then another example is open secret. So the secrets are never open. But when we say open secret, it is accepted language, it's an accepted usage. But when we put it together, it seems like opposite. In the expression bittersweet, we are using the word bitter and sweet together, which are opposite in meaning. But sometimes when we say bittersweet memories, we mean it's a mix of both sad and happy memories. And it's not wrong to say that. But when we look at it, when we look at both the words separately, it looks opposite.
In this poem, oxymoron is used in the line, labored ease of loss.
So now let's discuss the theme of this poem. After reading the poem, what have you understood? What is the central idea of this poem? You can see that the poet is talking about her sense of loss and the transience of life. That is, she's missing her mother when she looks at the photograph. So by looking at the photograph, it brings memories of the past and she's able to relive the past for a few minutes. And when she's looking at the photograph which is silent, the silence of the photograph also makes her silent. So this is the effect of a photograph that brings memories to us. And this explains the essential worth of a picture. So this is not only about the sense of loss and about the transience of life, but it is also about the essential worth of a photograph in bringing back memories, and that helps us relive our past. Now let's look at the title of this poem. How apt is this title? Since the poet is trying to convey her feelings about her mother, she wants to talk about the death of her mother and the sense of loss and the transience of life, and she's trying to convey all these ideas by describing the photograph. So photograph is the medium through which she's conveying her feelings for her mother. So we can conclude that the title is very apt for this poem.
Now that we have dealt with all the poetic devices in this poem, you may write down all the poetic devices and explain how it is used in this poem.